What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here at Data Dash, and today is July 23rd of 2021. Well, folks, I hope you are having a fantastic day wherever you are. And in today's video, I want to dive into talking about the current state of the altcoin market, as Bitcoin, after having a brutal sell-off since back in late April, has come all the way down to the $30,000 price range and now had its best 3-day period of time up 8% in price action, the best period of time we've seen since back here in late June. The question remains here, what is the state of the altcoin market? After a pretty big run up in Bitcoin, and as we've started to see this correction over the past couple months, it's important to understand the state of the altcoin market. We're not only going to be diving into that, but also diving into a lot of the different pairs you guys requested in the comments of the previous video. So let's go ahead and dive straight into the conversation, guys. Now, I not only want to talk about altcoins here, but we have to kind of get a preface here about what things we'd want to watch here for Bitcoin. So we'll come back to this. But let's go ahead and take a look at probably what is the most important metric here in the sense of the altcoin space. And that is altcoin dominance, or 100 minus BTC.D. So we're basically subtracting the Bitcoin dominance from the overall total percentage of 100, right? And that gives us a 53.86% reading here on TradingView. Now, again, if you were thinking in the sense of dollar terms, yes, of course, altcoins are down here in this case. Everything's down, right? If you're generally exposed to crypto, you've probably been hit pretty hard since back in May. But the real question remains is this. In a period of peak fear, uncertainty, and doubt that the market is currently in right now, where many people are confident that we are in the midst of a full-scale bear market, the real important question remains, how are altcoins performing in the sense of their market holding, their dominance? And the reason why that's important is because it's going to shape actually not only a narrative of whether or not we should get into altcoins right now or be exiting altcoin positions, but also it tells us a lot about the state of the market. And what we can see here is that altcoin dominance, albeit it has been on decline since back here towards mid-May when we had the real heavy selling, sell-side pressure coming through for Bitcoin and a variety of other cryptos on derivatives platforms and those who have been taking leveraged positions or borrowing crypto loans. What's really interesting here that I find is that we've been still setting in higher lows and lower highs. Now, this is contradictory towards what we look for a trend reversal. In the sense of Bitcoin, we saw a set of lower lows and lower highs. And this gave us the confirmation. If you just follow that simple principle, this right here is the week, right? This week right here is the exact week where we set in that lower high. And once you started to roll over and you start getting below some of these points of previous support for maybe these 3-day periods, you can start to realize, okay, the momentum is shifting. Volume is likely going to start coming in. You can start to see multiple red candles on the daily or on the weekly, and therefore that's what really confirms a trend reversal, right? The more and more confidence, the more data you have to work with. So right now we're in a neutral trend after a significant rally in altcoins back here from early January. We rose all the way up here from the lows here of 26%, and now we're at 53, nearly 54% here. More than double even after the pullback here. But we haven't gotten that full trend reversal. The lower highs, the lower lows. So what's going on here? Could it be that altcoins could continue climbing higher? Could it be that we may revisit some of the levels we saw at the peak of the 2017 cycle going into January 2018? Could we see those kind of dominance levels? And perhaps with the wide range of new functionable layers within the crypto space like DeFi that actually have real value proposition, could we soar even higher? Could we go higher than we did before around the 64% mark? I think there's a very good chance we could. And that, as we've seen historically speaking, that altcoins, as there can be abundance of new cryptocurrencies, that there's going to be more and more market dominance garnered towards altcoins. And it's just a matter of picking which players are going to be the winners. So let's go ahead and actually take a look at a variety of the cryptos that we're either invested in this case or that we think are some examples to just kind of get a good gauge on the market for altcoins. Let's take a look at Uni here. Now, Uniswap in this case, we built most of our positions back here during the pullback throughout November and December. Uni at the time was sitting around anywhere from, I think, $2.50 to $4 when we built our positions. So buying in that single-digit dollar range. And now Uni at this case not only is much higher against Bitcoin from that period of time, mainly around anywhere from a 2 to 3x here, 2.5 to 3x return from roughly where we are right now. But in dollar terms as well, it's much higher. It's in double-digit territory. But I don't want to focus so much on dollar terms, right? Because we know that the market generally always went up in January for practically every asset and is now generally down. It's not what we want to focus on. We want to focus on whether or not these plays are holding up better against Bitcoin. And we get that through the altcoin to BTC ratio, or in this case for Uniswap, UNI to BTC. Look at this. Every time everyone feels that it's pandemonium, the market's about to break down lower, Uniswap has been generally holding, albeit for a few exceptions where the wicks breaks a bit lower. You can see here that every time we get towards this range, buyers come in. Price doesn't live below this line very long, and in fact, buyers come in and drive the price higher. So what's it showing us here? It's showing that people are now generally accumulating these positions. In a bear market scenario, you'd be seeing people exiting altcoins en masse, altcoins setting in generally lower lows and lower highs. And it is, truth be told here, that we have had lower highs, but that can happen in a mid-cycle correction. You need the combination of both lower highs and lower lows to signify the trend reversal, just like how you need higher lows and higher highs to confirm that, hey, we're exiting out of a bottom capitulation phase, people are starting to accumulate and prices are moving higher, the trend is starting to turn positive, right? So what we want to see here in the ideal situation, if this is a mid-cycle correction, is for this to start not only rallying back higher and possibly going above the previous relative high here from July of 2021, but outside of that as well, we'd want to see us set in a higher low, right? And you might get one before the other. So you might get it where we break higher than this range over the course of July. We come back down. We maybe set a higher support range here that's away from this line here, right? And then we start moving higher, revisiting those previous highs against Bitcoin and start popping out higher going into the fall, right? This is one example. It could also be as well, just to make sure I don't want to cause any confusion here, it could be that we set in a lower high here still, set in a higher low, and then eventually claim higher price territory from that range, right? So these are just some examples to understand, but the major thing we want to see here for confirmation that, okay, altcoins have got some more legroom to go is for those higher lows and higher highs to start formulating over separations of multiple days, if not 1 to 2 to 3 weeks, possibly even a month in this case. So that's what we're watching for here. Buyers are still coming in. We're not seeing the peak capitulation that we usually see. Let's take a look at Litecoin here. Now, Litecoin is one of the plays that we had wrote up here. It made it basically a double return against Bitcoin here. It's one of the safer plays, and it does consume a decent chunk of our portfolio. The thing is, that's important to realize, is that even though this is back about where we got it against Bitcoin, around this range, as we bought kind of in the lower range here, trading off of the long-term buy and sell range. I'll go ahead and just take it off longer in the chart so you guys can see it. Usually when price visits at this range, we get a spike up in price, right? With these significant rallies. So that's what we were trading off of. Unfortunately, with the market selling off, it killed that momentum. But what we've got here is generally what's known as a bullish pattern, a descending wedge, right? You've got lower lows here and lower highs. However, they're formulating in a linear fashion, right? So, and unlike in the previous scenario where you don't have too much structure with your highs and lows, right? What we've got here with LTC BTC is that you've got a descending wedge here. Now it sounds bearish, but actually a descending wedge tends to be actually very bullish because the highs are falling at a faster rate than the lows, the support range. So buyers are coming in, albeit at lower levels, but they're coming in at shorter and shorter intervals from the previous low, right? So what you tend to have is you want to wait in this case, because I never take descending wedges at face value. And we're covering Litecoin here because I know some of you guys had asked me to cover in the comments. I haven't sold my positions in this case. I'm still holding it because I think there's a good chance we could pop up above here, make it support, and rally higher. But I would say, for those of you who don't have a position, don't just FOMO in just because, oh, it looks like it's formulating a descending wedge, right? So overall, relatively neutral here on Litecoin at the moment. We'll have to see if we get that confirmation to go higher. But so far, these lows, or these lower lows, are not significant enough to get me to exit my position. It's a few, to basically 200 Satoshis away from the May lows here in this case. And I've seen very clearly that if the right set of buyers come in, prices can go up quite fast, right? The order books here are not setting a lot of high sell limit orders here, right? So again, just overall, relatively neutral on Litecoin at the moment, still in the cheap range on the broad scale of things, right? And I want to wait until we can capture one of those big moves. No guarantee that it's going to happen, but it's definitely one play that I'm looking for. And luckily, I'm still up in the position against Bitcoin. So no need to move in that sense on changing things. Now, another one as well is Chainlink. Chainlink's been one we've talked about for a long period of time. We had talked about it back when it was like in single-digit territory, probably around $1, $2, $3. And now Chainlink has made some pretty surmountable moves over the past couple of years. But again, if we're looking at the kind of day-to-day chart, or if you're looking at this kind of prime preference, oh my God, yeah, you might be really concerned that Chainlink's going to break down below its December range here against Bitcoin, and then it's going to collapse, right? When you take a look at a longer-term time frame, we're taking a look at the 3-day or weekly chart. This is expanding back all the way to December 2017, 2018. You can see here that there's a very long-term uptrend line. I'll take it here to the weekly so you guys can see it maybe a little bit better. You can see here that Chainlink has just come back down yet again on a line of significant support. It's pulling back, it's cooling down. It's getting into what's generally a discount range. When you get any of these kind of pullbacks in price, right, came down 73%. Let's see back here, we had a 63% correction. There's a lot of these kinds of corrections for Chainlink, even before the breakout, right? You can take it from the absolute peak, you can take it from a lower range. I'll be even more conservative here. We got a 77% correction. Oof, even worse than this dramatic one we're seeing up here. Right? Albeit maybe you can drag down here towards the May lows here in this case. Or sorry, December 2020. My apologies. Full, nice, clean 80% correction. When you're at a 75 to 80% correction in these plays against Bitcoin, those aren't the periods of time when I think about dumping my entire position. I look for technical support. I look for seeing if buyers are coming in, and if that at this range, it tends to be that people come in and drag the price higher. That's generally what we see here with Chainlink. It's holding on that support. And so long as we don't break it, this signals to me why altcoin dominance is holding relatively neutral. It looks like it's almost building this kind of cusp, this momentum to start leapfrogging and setting those higher lows and higher highs, get back above the previous relative highs of this cycle, and break out even higher, closer towards 65 to 70%. And that's where we could possibly see the craze in the small caps and the mid caps. A lot of those crazy returns, some of the new players coming into trends for DeFi, NFTs, you name it, right? So overall, as we kind of emphasized, again, a lot of people are like, you know, I've gotten this, and it's funny, we have the Dash report where we have our Dash report discussion group. We also have as well, I know you guys in the comments and stuff, I always try to engage as much as I can. But there's so many people who kind of call and like, Nick, you should get out of your altcoin positions, get out. When in reality, we're holding up actually really well against Bitcoin. So there's no reason to just absolutely cycle out, not only to potentially incur short-term capital gains, whereas you might have been able to wait a little longer and have long-term capital gains, which can make a huge difference on some of those big returns, those big multiples that you make. But outside of that as well, it reduces the stress, the feel or need to constantly change left and right about what you're going to invest in. What's the next best thing? Sometimes it's not about that. Sometimes it's about generally riding the broader trend and looking at a longer term time frame than a minuscule correction, one in which we've seen many times within the altcoin space. I mean, to be honest with you guys, we flipped bullish on altcoins back in September, October 2019, and we made some great investments here, even though altcoin dominance came down to this range and revisited and set a double bottom here. During this time period, if you played in the right plays, you made some great returns. And along with this as well, until we see a clear trend reversal here, which we haven't seen yet, according to our rules, at least the ones I follow. You guys don't have to follow my rules. You can use a variety of other trading rules out there. We're going to hold strong on this. The momentum is strong this year in altcoins, similar to how it was in 2017. It's a new market cycle. And I think we're just simply seeing a mid-cycle correction, because I can tell you that altcoins would not be faring this well if this was a full-on bear market. So anyways, guys, that's it for today's video. I've rambled on enough. If you guys liked the video, drop a like, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and leave a comment down below what you guys think. If you agree or disagree, I'm always open to that kind of feedback if you guys want to leave your thoughts down below. But I hope you guys enjoyed some of the TA picks that we covered here today. Again, they came as request from you guys in the comments. So again, I love hearing from you guys and hearing what you want to see on the channel. That being said, everyone, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.